Gruesome Magazine.
Hello. Once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing Quicksand. Streaming now on Shudder. All right, we can't wait to get to this. But my feet are stuck. All right, let me introduce you to the crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm quick. I'm good. I'm learning about Quicksand, I'll tell you.
Yeah, excellent. Also joining us is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm fabulous.
Rocking the Mickey Mouse pumpkin jacket. Look at that go.
It's Halloween already, guys.
I know.
Like, 4th of July's over, so...
It's Halloween. It's Halloween from July 5th all the way through the 31st.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
We're moving into all-hallowed quarter.
There you go.
Yep.
Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr.
What's up? Hey, here's your little trivia bit. Bogota, Colombia is where our film Worst Laid Plans will have its international premiere, and this film takes place in Colombia.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome.
So it's a little tie-in there.
It is. That's...
I'm not going because I've heard there's quicksand.
Yeah, the quicksand.
I was going to say,
you're afraid
you
of
take a
quicksand,
hiking
aren't you,
trip?
sir?
Yeah.
I don't hike because of situations like this.
Well, you could casually stroll.
I hike to the pool. I hike to the arcade. I hike to the movie theater. I don't hike in the woods because that's where people die. It's what I've seen
it's
in horror
unfortunate.
films.
Well, look what happened to Julian Sands.
I knew that was coming. Oh, I just thought of that.
Well, and you got to watch out for cocaine bears too.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And zombievers.
Maybe there was a cocaine snake in this one. I can't say.
And quicksand.
Yep.
Quicksand.
All right. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to give you a review of Quicksand. We're going to start off giving you our first impression. That first impression will be spoiler free. Then we'll dive into a discussion. We'll get into spoilers. They're not really. They're stuck in quicksand. And then we will share our score and our favorite scene. The score will be what, Crystal?
1 to 5.
Yes, you got it.
You have to think about it.
Wait.
This is
Your
the first
scores
time
will
doing
be.
this.
Your scores will be 1 to 5.
Such an obvious cue. Yeah.
I know.
It's okay, people. This is the first time she's done this podcast. She knows how it goes.
All right. We hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. If you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend. Buttons. Each click will help us find more horror fans just like you. And of course, we wanted to just share that we are celebrating 10 years of podcasting, starting with H&R, Gruesome Magazine, and Decades of Horror. And if you like this content, there is 10 years of content to go find, and it's awesome. And Jeff, isn't it? It actually is out there in multiple places. Do you want to say anything about? And this is, I'm going to throw this at you, and you're going to tell me no. Where else you can find it? Streaming online?
Are you talking about Decades of Horror?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, we are partnering with Play Now Media, and you can see all the Decades of Horror on some of their streaming channels. So Classic Era is on the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel and the Classic Horror Movie Channel, and Classic Era 70s and 80s, all three are on the Wicked Horror TV channel. And they're all pretty much up to date. Some of the older ones aren't up there yet, but we've got around 30 to Classic Era's got like 60 episodes up, but the other ones we've just started this year, and we're up to about 40 episodes each, I think.
Thank you, Jeff. I knew you could do it. All right, let's take a look at the card.
If I was listening to what you said beforehand, I don't know what.
There you go.
It was like I heard my name.
Let's don't look at that one. Let's look at this one. Quicksand. See, they do great, and I screw things up. All right, Quicksand 2023 Shudder. It's available streaming on Shudder beginning July 14th, 2023. Synopsis is Quicksand follows a married couple almost divorcing How about a separated married couple? Anyway, who become trapped in quicksand while hiking through a rainforest in Colombia, along with Christopher G. Mohr. They will battle the elements of the jungle and must work together in order to survive. It is directed by Andre Beltran and written by Matt Pitts, and the cast includes Carolina Gaitan. Okay, Allan, Hawco, Sabastian, Eslava, and Andre Castaneda. That doesn't sound right, but I'm going to go with it. Tagline is "Fear will drag you deeper." All right, let's get into our first impressions.
That sounds good.
Crystal, you are going first. What was your first impression of Quicksand?
Okay, this is not typically the kind of movie that I would like. Okay, so let me explain this to you for our horror-loving fans out there. I don't recommend this to you. However, I feel like this movie was well made. It was well acted, and I enjoyed it. But it's really, God, I feel a little bit sick talking about this. It's really a love story. Because that's really what it is. It really is. It's about this couple who he's an alcoholic. Oh, I'm giving.
No, it's
he
okay.
may have issues,
you can say
and
that.
she is. They're basically going on this trip where she's giving a presentation because she's a doctor, and they're getting divorced, which that's going to come up really soon and early, so it doesn't matter. And how they decide to find themselves in arenas, which is like the sand. It's sands. It means sands. So I guess like the sands, which makes sense, I guess, with the quicksand. But you'll see in the beginning scene, you see that there's two hunters that are hunting snakes. So you know it has something to do with sand and snakes. And that is what the movie is about. But it actually literally is two people stuck in quicksand for most of the movie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I know most of you would be horribly bored by this. And yes, Jeff, we could debate whether this is a horror movie or not. I'd say it's probably not a horror movie. Not really. I mean, it has some horror elements, I guess. But it's a stretch, you know. But I love the friend. I mean, he's kind of BA and stuff. I cared about the characters. This is not something that I would choose to watch, like ever. But since I was forced to for the review, I actually enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. I actually enjoyed it. I really did. Like I found it surprisingly good. I must have been really open-minded.
I like that. That'll work. Jeff, what was your first impression of Quicksand?
Well, she's absolutely right. So I was kind of excited to see this because, as we've talked frequently with Bill Mulligan, if you watched any Westerns in the 50s or 60s, somebody's always getting stuck in quicksand, and I've never seen any. So it was kind of cool to have a movie come along like this. But it really is the story of a relationship gone bad, and it begins to mend itself because these two people with really big egos are stuck in the quicksand. It's like a locked. Let's lock these people in a room until they learn how to get along. Only the room is quicksand, and because they have to work together and support each other, and they kind of swap who's being optimistic and who's not, and that kind of thing. And so, in a way, that was kind of cool. And I learned stuff about quicksand because I'm watching it and I'm going, well, that's not the way quicksand works. So I looked up quicksand and found out, no, actually, the way I grew up watching it in the 50s and 60s is not the way it works.
You are misled, sir.
This was really much closer to the way it works. So after I realized that, I because at first I was like, well, that ain't right, but actually it was. So it's okay, and it's kind of cool how they work together and figure stuff out and get out of it. But I was never really scared, and there's some fairly long. Well, anyway, I'll stop there. But it is. It's really a love story and the mending of a relationship in this stressful situation.
Yep.
Okay. Christopher, what was your first impression of Quicksand?
Oh God, this is gonna be good.
I call it slow sand because I rarely do this. I actually fast forwarded through scenes because it was so utterly boring. You have two of the most cardboard people in the world that I don't care about. I just wish they would both sink and die so the credits can relieve my torture. And I didn't see, and I didn't, and I don't know. You guys watched a different movie than I did. I didn't see any chemistry between these two people whatsoever. And if that's love, I don't want it. I will stay single for the rest of my life because that is not. There's nothing. I think the actors did an okay job for what they had to deal with. I mean, a lot of it was just like. Just people moving very weirdly and saying that they're stuck in one way but they're stuck in another way, and it was just like it just seemed like, okay, we can cheaply make this movie where they're just stuck in a muddy pond for 75% of the movie. Yeah. And I mean, granted, I will say, I mean, I think it's shot well considering it's such a basic concept. It's like we see a lot of these films where like stuck in a coffin, stuck in a phone booth, stuck in this or that.
Stuck in a rock.
Yeah, and I think the only time it got any kind of interesting is when they had to deal with outside things like the snake or ants. But
oh yeah,
there was not enough in this film for it to sustain the length. Yeah, I mean, they're out. I mean, and even the ending, literally, the camera just stays on the person for like so long, and it's like we need to stretch this out to an hour and a half, so it's like a normal movie length. I think, yeah, I knew going into this is going to be a hard concept to swallow, but this is worse than those big horse pills you have to swallow when you get medication. It's really a hard movie. But I will say, I mean, I thought the interaction with the snakes and the ants were great in creating the atmosphere, and so they didn't skip on that aspect of it. But every time they were talking, I was like, ugh, I'd rather be playing Candy Crush on my phone than watch this movie.
Oh my god! I mean, as far as it being a horror film, I mean, the horror is survival here. You're stuck, and you're going to die, and you have to survive, and find a way out. So in that respect, that's about as horror as it gets. Maybe the snake biting somebody. If you're afraid of snakes, that will get you. If you're afraid of ants, which you may be more afraid of the ants than the snakes, to be honest. I enjoyed this film. I did find it. I agree. It was stuck in the
literally.
And yeah. But at some point, I think it was by the time the snake bites the one guy, I from that point on I was in. Getting there, I might have nodded off. I might not have hit the fast forward button, but I might have snoozed a bit. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I saw any chemistry between the two, but I did begin to like them and see them for, the characters for who they were instead of who they were portraying earlier, because they started fessing up and becoming honest with each other and stuff. So there was something about that. And that was the yuck part, right, Crystal?
Yes.
So
yuck.
In the end, I found myself enjoying it as the film as a whole, but it is not by any means a perfect film. Or is it a film that I don't know, I would have a hard time recommending this to somebody as well. But I don't know. I mean, it was filmed well and it was shot well, and the actors did a
the movie
perfectly reasonable job.
I found it fine. It's just not. It's not our typical horror film, and it is barely a horror film. I would argue, and that's okay. I'm just saying. Normally, for some reason, I would normally hate this stuff. Really, but I don't know.
Well,
I liked it.
As a white male, I was thoroughly put off by this woman at the beginning of the movie.
God.
But then at one point we figure out she has ample reason to be treating this guy like.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, oh great, they've made another crazy, angry lady, and then as stuff starts to come out, you're like, oh, okay. I get it.
So I thought the background on it, especially her, was good.
And it's cool that she was a doctor, so she was able to bring some of that into the movie. I mean, there is a teeny bit of gore, a teeny bit, bit.
I mean, there's snake bites, there's cuts, and
there's a dead body.
There's a dead body that I like that. I like when they yanked the dead body out from the bottom of the thing. That was
the one part I wasn't too sure about whether that could happen or not. I believe that would pull you down.
Yeah,
but
I'll give him a little leeway there
because you're displacing the.
Well, I mean, he jumped in and pulled her
up,
up, so
I'm totally with you guys on the time, because while I'm watching this movie, I'm looking up Quicksand and reading about it. And then I was searching poisonous snakes in Colombia to try to figure out what snake it was, and are there
what
really?
Snake was it? Did you find out?
I didn't figure it out. There was no obvious thing. I was questioning whether there were poisonous constrictors, because that's what it
looked like.
Yeah, because.
So,
because it went, or a python. It could be a python.
Yeah.
Pythons will constrict.
So I'm not well enough versed in snakes. I looked up venomous snakes, and it was just like, it was weird. I couldn't find a good easy source. So I started watching the movie again.
Yeah. And Crystal's right. The friend who asked them to come down to to the conference, because we were all at a conference, and then they went hiking and all shit went south. But he gets in his own little bit of trouble, and you kind of rooted for him. You wanted him to get out there and find him and save him. So
well, it was nice that they have a person that followed through instead of a guy that went, wonder what the hell happened to them, And
At first, I thought they were going to do that the way they played.
Yeah.
Scenes.
Well, until he sees the pack, so that's what broke it open.
But I did expect, I will admit, I did expect more than just ants and a snake. I thought something else was going to happen, and it isn't. It's basically a
conversation.
It's a two-ender, right? So, or two-hander.
So I think the snake that it is, I think that it's this fer de lance. It's an asper.
That's one of the ones I looked at. That's one of
it's a highly venomous pit viper found in southern Mexico and northern South America. So I would think that because they were talking about how much the skin would be valued, so it was probably, it was obviously very poisonous, very venomous. Venomous, not poison.
Gotta be kidding.
So
I'm thinking maybe that's probably what it is.
I did like the knife to the snake head.
Yes.
That was.
There are times this movie kind of elevates itself, but not consistently.
Well, I just think that if I'm being real with you, when I was watching the movie and with the beginning, I felt like there was going to be some sort of it was going to be a monster creature feature movie or something with this big, huge snake. Spoiler alert, there is not. Okay, I don't want anyone to be disappointed, because I kept kind of waiting for that. When she was like, oh, I feel something in the quicksand and stuff, I kept thinking there was going to be something more.
Well, when they show you that egg, you're like, that Chekhov's egg.
Chekhov's egg.
Yeah, it's a big egg.
Did we lose?
We lost Jeff again.
But I was kind of expecting something more, because I think even at the very beginning, when you see that guy and you see it from the point of view, whatever's going to attack.
Yeah, it seems like it was more than just him falling.
Yeah, so it's like not only is the sand not quick, the snake's not quick either. So it's everything's very slow and methodical, and I mean, granted, it's not a little snake; it's still a kind of a big snake, but it's not like asylum level snake attacking them. And at first I thought, well, I thought she killed the snake. Because she shot it,
Yeah, what did it? That was confusing. I thought that was the mom or something. I don't know. Am I crazy?
So I that's why I wasn't really sure when they like, oh, the snake came back, and I was like, I thought she killed the snake, and it was just in the mud with them. But
it got away. It got away.
Yeah, it crawled away. She shot it.
Yeah, and it bit her too, right?
They didn't show it crawling away. They just showed it.
Oh yeah, they did. You saw the tail. No, you saw the tail going off.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe that's when I was. I wasn't fast forwarding during that part, but I didn't remember seeing that.
I will say that outside of falling into the quicksand in the first place, I appreciate the choices the characters were making. He jumps in to save her, they're stuck, and how they're trying to get out, and then realizing, why didn't we shoot the gun when the helicopter was above? The fire isn't going to work. I got to cut that out, or you're going to have a heart attack. There was the things that they ended up having to face and the decisions they make didn't seem forced or out of the,
and I think that's what made me like the movie. I think that is the one thing that made me like the movie, even though it had a slight bit of maybe misdirection. I also was prepared for it to not be some massive snake, and there wasn't, so I wasn't disappointed. I can't stand movies that just continually misdirect you and the characters make stupid decisions, and it felt kind of grounded, and I think that's why this movie is redeeming.
I don't know. That one part where she's doing that looked goofy. I'm sorry, it just looks so stupid.
What? Before he jumped in?
Yeah, she was like like a bobblehead. Yeah. And I can understand the whole point. I guess the whole point is she's trying to get out, but I don't know.
That's the worst thing you can do in quicksand. Everyone knows that, right?
Well, first of all, it didn't even look something would realistically do but that was just like, oh, what is that?
Well, he's the one that said the thing that I had to look up, because they said that the idea that you fall in and it sucks you down and you'll end up underneath is not true, because just exactly what he said, your buoyancy is less than your density is less than the bog or the quicksand. So you're going to find your equilibrium point where you've displaced the equal amount of weight, just like something floating on water. And that's where you'll stay. But it's damn hard to get out. Anybody who's got their boots stuck in mud and couldn't get it out.
Oh yeah.
And think about it being even more treacherous. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's go ahead and give our score and favorite scene of Quicksand, streaming on Shudder. Crystal, you're up first.
Okay, I'm gonna give this movie a 3. Yep, I know it's high for me on the type of movie. Don't look me in the eye. I can't. But I don't know. It was very real to me for some reason. There's quite a few scenes actually that I really enjoyed. One, my favorite though, is her cutting the cloth. Ugh, that was so.
The cloth out. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And explaining that
she pulls it out like this. Yeah, it's so gross. I was like, but realistic. I love, this is one of the first movies that, yay, finally, they don't try to say, suck out the venom. You should never suck out the venom. You don't suck out the venom.
I thought she could have at least wiped off the knife before she
it was very muddy.
Well, he was already muddy. It wasn't going to help.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I did like that what he said, like, you go ahead and cut me as long as you deal with it when it's done. So I like that scene. Jeff, your score, your favorite scene. Quicksand.
I think you're right, Crystal. I think I'm going with Fertile Lance. So score. I'm going 2.75.
Darn.
And favorite scene, you took the cutting out the Jill blood, huh?
The blood clot, yeah.
I'll take the God. You know, I'm going to take the scene where their buddy Marcos spots the backpack, and he goes right to it. And
I love it.
Nobody's getting away with
gets
this
into
crap.
it with that guy, yeah.
Yeah, oh man, he's not messing around. There's no like thinking about it or anything. So
ends up in jail with him.
Yeah.
Which is great because it had that dialogue scene between them was actually pretty interesting. All right, good choice. Christopher, your score and favorite scene. Cue the music.
I'll make it quick. 2.25.
Higher than I thought you were going to do. I'll be honest.
Well, I think I would have given it lower if it wasn't shot so well, and if some of the action scenarios weren't kind of well done, because I cringed during the ant.
Yes.
And I don't like snakes.
Yeah.
So I would be I hate bugs in general, and I've been bitten by like red ants and stuff. So and having when I was like, ooh, because when you're trapped and you can't do anything, I think that alone, I think there's a lot of practical stuff that was done in the film, so I appreciate that, because I think if they'd gone a more CGI route, my score went woo. So even though I hate some of the talking stuff, some of that stuff, I'll visually I'll give it a higher score, even though I don't really consider it a high score. 2.25. As for favorite scene, it would be the ant scene.
The ant scene, awesome.
Yeah, because I think that scene just bothered me so
That's
much.
Definitely one of my favorites.
And I was like, oh, and to be stuck in a situation where you can't, because I've stepped in the ant hills before, and they've gone up my legs and stuff. And
yeah,
it's the worst feeling. And if you're in like Colombia and you have big ass ants crawling up your leg or on your neck of all places, and you can't do anything. If your hands are trapped, it's like crap.
Yeah.
I love it. They poured vodka on it.
So he gives that up, So.
Yep.
Yeah,
and he has to.
Well, and I think if there'd been more of that, I would have enjoyed the film more. But there's only like two scenes where they kind of
like he couldn't have been a real alcoholic.
No. Well, he was recovering.
Okay, good.
That's a decoy.
He fallen off the wagon. All right. I'll give it a 3 as well. I'm with Crystal on this. It's going to be hard to recommend to horror fans, but as you know, it is. I enjoyed the film in the end. I did enjoy the latter half much more than I did the first half. When they're at the hotel, the characters just weren't very appealing. But once they're stuck and facing each other, they grew on me, and I enjoyed. I actually grew to like these two characters.
Yeah.
My favorite scene, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite scene, but I really enjoyed when they pulled the body up out of the mud. I thought, because I don't know, there was just something horrifying about that, because they end up shoving him back down in there. But just to know that you're stuck in the mud and there's a dead body in there with you, that stuck with me the entire. Gross. They never returned to it, but it just stuck with me. Because didn't the guy that was in there with the dead guy in there, didn't he see another dead body before he got attacked?
A skeleton.
He saw a skeleton, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, is there more? And nothing ever happened. But so I don't know. That was a fun touch, and that probably the most horrific thing that happened in the film for horror fans is going to be that, if not putting a knife through the snake's head, which was really well done. It had a nice pop to it, and it was like his last ditch effort, because from then on he couldn't move. He was paralyzed. That was the last of his energy, right? He was paralyzed after that. I can't move. I can't turn my head. His name was Bob from then on out.
What the heck?
We got
I thought he was a.
We got a dad joke here. Dad joke. We got a dad joke.
Oh, God.
What did they call him on Shemps? He was a Shemp.
You're Shemp. He was indeed. All right, there you go. That's our review of Quicksand. It's on Shudder. You have Shudder. Watch it.
Yes.
Let us know what you think down below. Did we miss something? Was it or did we give it too much credit? I'd like to hear what you think.
It'll be interesting.
All right. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Jeff, Crystal, Christopher, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yay.
All right.
Yay.
Let's get our feet out of the mud and get out of here. Let's say goodnight.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Gruesome Magazine.